Hello and welcome to PM Studio's Java Programming Tutorials number 5. Today we'll be going over while loops and adding the final touches to our calculator that we've been building up from the ground since tutorial number 2, I believe. So as you can see, I've already imported the program that we wrote in the last tutorial on if statements. Basically what we're going to be doing today is just adding a couple modifications to the code to allow extended user use, so they don't have to restart the program every time they want to run an application. All they have to do is simply answer a question. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add another variable called int e, and then we're going to add a boolean, so boolean, and we're going to call that do again. You don't necessarily have to call it that, but whatever it is, it's going to be the token that allows us to repeat it. We're going to set that equal to true default. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to return a couple times, and we're going to add a statement that says while do again equals true. Now the reason why, I don't think I've gone over this before, but the reason why we do again equals true here and then we do the double equal signs here is because the equal sign in programming languages is actually an assignment operator, meaning that whenever you put an equal sign, just a singular equal sign, it's actually assigning a value to whatever you're putting it in front of, or putting it behind of, rather. Whereas the double equal sign is a comparison operator, meaning that whatever you're doing, it's verifying that whatever variable you're asking what it equals is true. So if you do again equals true, it's checking to see if do again actually equals true. Whereas here you're assigning the value true to do again. So I hope I didn't confuse too many of you with that, but that is the reason why we do the different equal signs in different places. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our opening brace here, and what we're going to do to speed things up so you don't have to go down one line by one line, you're just going to highlight all of this and push the tab button once. And as you can see, it automatically justified everything and tabbed it over, so that's all solved. And then at the very bottom, right below this else statement closing, we're going to put another brace, and that's going to close up the while loop. Now that that's finished, we need to put in some form of termination protocol, or we're going to get what's called an endless loop. Because right now, it's always going to equal true. There's no change of the value of the loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to put two spaces, and we're going to do system.out.println. We're going to say, would you like to do another operation? And then 1 equals y. Two equals no. Do your normal closing out. Excuse me. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going e equals input dot next int. Put our parentheses there, and then we're going to check for it. So back to our if statements from last tutorial, we're going to do e equals 1. So if e equals 1, if the value of e equals 1, then we're going to set do again to true. else. So if they put in anything else, we're not even going to worry about doing the else if for this, because basically what we're looking for is 1. We don't care about any of the other values. As long as we get 1, we're continuing the program. Anything else, we can terminate it. So else, do again, equals false. And that pretty much sums it up. So now, what we're going to do, I forgot. Got to rename this. Like I said before, the class has to be called what the program is saved as. So I already saved this off as while loops before I started recording this, and then forgot to change the class back to while loops. So now if we recompile it, it all runs perfectly fine. And now we're going to check it. So I'm just going to do 12s, and then we're going to do 1 for addition, and it's going to ask me whether I'd like to do another equation. We're going to do yes. 12s, it runs through perfectly fine again. And then we're going to be asked to do it again, and we could put that number in there. I'm not even going to try to count it out. And it would terminate the program, just like it should. So, that's pretty much the basics of while loops. They are what we like to call a pretest loop, meaning that it will test whether or not it should run through the loop again before it actually runs through the loop. Another version of a pretest loop will be for loops, which I believe we will be getting into a little bit later. Yes, so it will be next tutorial that we're going over for loops. And also the other thing that I wanted to cover while we're doing while loops is the concept of nested loops. Now, a nested loop is when you have one loop inside of the other. So, like for instance, we have a while loop here, and we have an if statement, which is in some realms considered a loop. It is the most common nested loop. So we're going to do the while loop, but inside of it we have if statements that are inside of that do that and run their own checks. So that is an example of a nested loop. They are very handy, especially when you're doing, I believe it's iterations. Yeah, when you're doing for loop iterations, you can do backwards iterations and all this other neat stuff with it when you have a for loop nested within a for loop. But we will not be getting into that in this programming tutorial series, so I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on it. Either way, I just wanted to introduce you guys to the concept of nested loops. That's pretty much about it for this tutorial series, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.